Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of our Streets of Gadgetzan Hearthstone expansion review. In the first part we had a look at a selection of neutral, druid, hunter and mage cards, and in part 2 we'll be looking at a few of the rogue, shaman, paladin, warlock, warrior and our new overlords, the tier 1 class, priest. Enjoy the video and we'll see you next time.
So this is a new Paladin secret, Getaway Kodo. So when a friendly minion dies, it bounces back to your hand. I can see this arguably even in late game.
I would like this a lot.
Yeah. I like the prospect behind this as well.
I like it even more now that Secret Paladin isn't a thing.
Oh,
Because
God.
imagine that, bouncing that back and then playing it next turn and then having the full Christmas tree again.
There's a reason that I don't go into Wild.
Scary place.
When every deck is overpowered.
Yeah, without holding someone's hand, you're not allowed in there.
It's like I imagine that when you load up the client, there should be like a little red barrier with like 18 plus, like adult supervision needed.
Some scenes may be disturbing for young viewers.
None of your business. What does that mean, Mom? Never mind. God, Flame Wanker's going to go over there soon as well. Just
where he belongs.
So anyway, back to this card. Can you see this working in something like maybe used with some death rattle cards like Tyrion or Cairn or something like that?
Yeah, even Battlecry in the early game, I think. So it's very versatile. You can't really, especially with the taunt cards, it's perfect. But then you've also got the when a minion dies, secret, return it to the board with 1 health, which I think works slightly better with death rattle taunt cards. But with your Battlecry cards, especially in the early game, I think this works a little bit better with those in terms of synergy. This is one of the more synergistic secret cards that Paladin have, so again it's to do with your imagination. If you can come up with a viable deck that puts this card in there.
In standard.
Yeah, not Wild doesn't count. We don't talk about Wild.
So
yeah. And in Arena this is perfect because you're getting double value from one of your cards, and especially if you've got a deck that curves out really nicely, you can have a late game card or any for that matter. If you're struggling to draw a card for a specific turn and you have this on a card from your last turn and it comes back, you can play that card again the next turn and you're safe. You're still on curve. So I think this helps with the curve game of Arena, which in general now if you've got a deck that curves out really nicely, you're doing quite well in Arena.
Next up we have the Grime Street Enforcer. 5 mana 4/4. At the end of your turn, give your minions in your hand. So this is another Grime Street card, and stat-wise, I think it's fine. It has the Twilight Elder effect, which is nice. Now that's an annoying card as it is, but at the same time, it's very well statted. This, on the other hand, this is you've got to play greedy for this, and greedy decks don't work well in Hearthstone at the moment.
I really compare this to Tharacyn, and the problem with that comparison is that it doesn't have 5 health, so it's not very sticky.
Yeah.
And the effect isn't quite as good, but it's nice that they're keeping that sort of that Tharacyn legacy going.
He also has a big hammer as well, which is nice.
Which is important, yeah.
Which is very important. And he's a dwarf as well. But he's not a Dark Iron dwarf, which Tharacyn is. If
you're keeping this on the board for 2 turns and you're playing a late game Paladin, really how much are you gaining because you've already got a good late game anyway.
Yeah, this is a win more card. And as we all know, win more cards aren't good.
Don't work.
Yeah. Well, they work, but now this on the other hand, I think is significantly better. Because it's just, yes, you don't get that repeated effect, but it's just instantly. Battlecry cards are always going to be better, I think, just because of that instant effect and you are playing it on a decent curve. The 1/1 body doesn't even matter. Again, I'm going to compare it to Jeweled Scarab just because the body of it doesn't matter, it's just the effect. So even if you do have some later game cards, in hand at the moment, you're still going to see that advantage at some point.
Yeah, and this works really well with a deck that Blizzard were trying to champion in the past 2 expansions also. In the really early sort of 1, 2, 3 cost minion card, the really fast Paladin deck, and this works really well with that because it even more so increases the tempo of those cards that are in it.
Is that the competitive spirit deck you're mentioning?
That card could be put in there, but it's mostly with the, I can't remember what it's called. It's the 3/3 that gives your minions Divine Shield, and the 2/1 Death Rattle Divine Shield. Those sorts of cards.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
I remember those ones. I just never played them.
So I think this and especially the new legendary Paladin fit really well into that sort of really fast tempo-driven Paladin deck, and I really look forward to playing that because that's such a difference to what we normally see with that class.
Next up, small time recruits. Draw 3 1-cost minions from your deck.
So this works really well with the previous card and the previous deck that I just discussed. And this is, again, a reason why I think this deck will maybe not be tier 1, but will at least be tried out significantly in the first few weeks.
See, this is another good thing where it comes to deck building, is that if you think carefully about the one drops you want to put in here, this becomes a significantly better Arcane Intellect in that case, and you are deliberately getting your 3 preferred 1 costs from it, which is good.
If you're playing this and then you're playing the previous card, then you're laughing, because the tempo that you're getting from your next turn, even though you might have emptied your hand, it could win you the game on the spot.
This is another 1 mana spell. It just gives all minions in your hand +1/+1. Out of all the buff card, hand buff cards, I think this is the best one.
I want to compare this with the Outfitter, because effectively you're losing 1/1 of stats for 1 mana, and I would argue that this is better than the Outfitter.
Yeah,
because as we know, for 1 mana you're expecting a hell of a lot more. So this probably, unless you're going to combine the 2 in a deck, which you could put Smuggler's Run and the Outfitter in one deck, you'd prefer this to be drawn than the Outfitter, I think.
Most definitely, because even if you get a few petty 2, 3, 4, 5 drop bonuses, that is still 1 mana +1/+1 across multiple things.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the Shattered Sun Cleric buff? She's a 3/3/2. She gives +1/+1. Yeah, she get a body off that as well, but I think this card is really, really going to help push that. Not even maybe fast, but even more control heavy Paladin archetype.
Do you think?
I'd arguably say so, because if you are hanging on to like the 7, 8, 9 cost cards, having +1/+1 across all of them is still only going to help.
Yeah, I suppose you're more minion heavy in your top heavy Paladin than you are in your Warrior, for example, and your Priest especially. So this fits in a much more better way to that class.
Yeah, and also this is probably my favourite card artwork.
So cool, isn't it? Always Murlocs as the favourites.
So we've got Wicker Flame Burnt Bristle, the Paladin legendary of this expansion. So it's got Divine Shield and Taunt, and whenever it deals damage, it also heals your hero for that much. First of all, I just want to say I'm happy that Blizzard are okay printing low-cost legendary.
I'm slightly confused about the need for the heal in this card.
Yeah.
I think it more pushes the Don Hancho mechanic than would be included in the fast decks. Yeah, I think this is probably meant for more mid-range with the Don Hancho than fast decks, because you're losing quite a lot of tempo playing a 2/2.
When we say Don Hancho, we don't specifically mean him. We just mean the variety of card, the effect of buffing minions in your hand.
Yeah, let's make that a thing. We'll invent that.
I like this card a lot.
Where do you see it fitting though? Because I'm really struggling to put it in a deck.
That is the problem. Because does Paladin already have a certifiable 3-drop?
Paladin really struggles on the 3-drop front. It's got the Peacekeeper and, as previously mentioned, Steward of Darkness, which works well in the fast decks. But really, other than that, you're struggling quite a lot.
Yeah, but on the other hand, though, you can fill up like a 3-drop with like other neutral cards. Would you be okay playing this as a 3-mana 2/2?
No whatsoever.
Would you be okay with playing this as a 3-mana 3/3?
Yes. But the only way I'd be okay with playing this as a 3-mana 2/2 is if I had some sort of spell buff for its attack, because with the Divine Shield you effectively get a free
hit.
Yeah. Which is clearly something that Blizzard is trying to bring back in Paladin with this expansion, is the use of your Blessing of Kings and those sorts of those sorts of minion buffs. Let's move on to Priest.
Yeah.
Welcome to the new age.
See, I'm one of those guys that try to make Onyx Bishop Priest work and Resurrection Priest work.
It kind of does. It's an okay 50-50 win rate deck.
Yeah. This card is disgusting. I hate it. Because this is similar to the Dark Cultist, which were, for those of you who are new to the game, that was a 3 mana 3/4, and its Death Rattle gave a random minion 3 health.
This is worse than the Dark Cultist.
This you can choose as well, which is the worst thing.
The thing about this is it's worse because Priest, as we previously saw, now has a 1-drop.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you like, presumably you're going to mulligan for those ones, so you can expect to see in it more than the opponent would like. You'd have a 2/5 on turn 3 as well as a 3/4.
Thing is, it's already fine enough as it is, being a 3 mana 3/4, I think. But this significantly pushes Priest into the later game, because as soon as you get this out, you're going to be able to do the organized circle combo. That will die to it, but you'll still be able to have your 1-drop live, for instance.
If Priest didn't have the 1/2 drops that we've seen in the neutral, and there's also a 2-drop that we're not going to discuss here, but that has come out for the Priest class. If it didn't have those, I would say that this card is okay, but and it's perfectly playable, it's perfectly fair, but because it has those options before, and it can play so well on curve with such good cards like these, I would say this is probably going to push Priest towards from the bottom towards the top of the class list.
Would you argue that even having this buff on a Northshire Cleric would be beneficial?
We used to do it with the Dark Cultist on it, and it effectively meant that you could draw for basically 2 more turns from healing. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so yeah, this is going to be one of those obnoxiously powerful Priest cards where
basically dig out your Priest deck from about a year ago, which had Dark Cultist and Interplay Master and all those cards. Dig that out and just scribble out Dark Cultist and put this in, and you'll see those decks come back. Basically,
just wait for Priest to still be crap. That would be so bad.
See, that's the important thing. No matter what we say, we could be horribly wrong. We could on every single one of these cards, we could be saying Dr. Boom is terrible.
Yeah,
and you never know what's going to happen.
Let's move on to another more disgustingly overpowered card. Now, okay, when I first saw this card, I misread it. Because when it said all, I thought it meant all other minions aside from dragons. This is a 1 more damage for 1 less flame strike.
And when we talk about board clears, sometimes you talk about the difference between a 2 damage and a 3 damage clear, and you obviously see that the 3 damage is much more playable.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about a 5 damage clear. I mean, this is gonna clear pretty much everything at this cost. The thing is, you could use, because Priest is even might be behind by turn 6, which is when it should be beginning to get back its tempo. You could even use this in a non-dragon Priest. You could. I was just thinking about that. Use it as because holding over is already an okay clear as it is, but maybe even running this against some of the more heavier side of decks. Because if you remember Light Bomb, which was running most Priest decks, this is a much different mechanic, but could be used in much the same way as a clear on turn 6 as that was. I could almost see this be run in the same vein that Excavated Evil. This is a significantly better Excavated Evil in my opinion as well. You'd run both, I think. I think you'd run 2 Excavated Evils and 1 or 2 of these, and no Holy Novas. No Holy Novas at all? No, I don't see the point of playing a 2 damage board clear, and rather than a 3 which costs the same. Yeah, even if your opponent gets it. I want this. Thing is, I've always been a bit iffy about dragon cards because I love dragon decks to absolute bits, but they are not consistent. The thing is, this is the 4th. I mean, since BRM, Blizzard has tried to champion Dragon Priest for so long, and it's such a strange timing because BRM is going out at the end of the year. So this clearly wasn't. There was half of this in the design was meant for Dragon Priest, and half of it was looking at next year, saying that Priest needs something else to elevate it, as well as the card that we just talked about, the Cabal. And this is looking at that. So effectively, you can ignore the fact that this should go in Dragon Priest. Yeah, because that deck probably won't exist to the extent that it should next year. Let's enjoy it for the 4 months or so that we are going to have all the Blackrock Mountain cards. Moving on to another familiar yet slightly different card, the Potion of Madness. So this is gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until the end of the turn for 1 mana as well. So this is perfect combat to the tempo driven meta that we have now. This could almost be considered your 1-drop, I think. Yeah.
So if you manage to get out a one mana and a 2 mana on your opponent's end, you could quite easily just run this into another one, kill it. So,
and also don't one thing that can be included in this, but may not be included in the and can be included in the last card. There's also a priest card that reduces the attack of all minions. I think by 2 or 2/2, something like that. And of course, with this, that combos really well with this mechanic. And with the last card, you can get in some attacks on those minions with more than 5 health, without losing your minions, and then clear.
Exactly. Do you think this will see play even when you can just use Shadow Word Pain instead?
You're generally putting one Shadow Word Pain in at the moment, just because of its mana cost.
Yeah,
I think so. I could see definitely 1 or 2 of these, but it really depends. Not in the first few weeks of the expansion, because in the first few weeks you're probably going to see a few more mid-range to top-heavy decks,
and probably a few niche decks as well. Given that.
So after that, when we get into the normal realms of 1, 2, 3 curve win, then I could definitely see 2 of these being put in each priest deck.
Have it become a standard. I'm a little bit more skeptical about that, but I'll be excited to see its results.
I really like it in Arena as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think Priest is slightly underpowered at the moment in Arena as it is.
What, Priest underpowered?
Yes, seriously, I know. Who knew?
Don't they already have that Unicorn Priest deck?
You can't draft deck. Well, you can, of course. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, in Arena, it's perfect combat to the sort of crazy 70, 75 plus rating decks that you often see queued up against Kripparrian.
Next, we have Raza the Chained. Raza the Chained. 5 mana, 5/5. So this is another Highlander sort of deck. So if you don't have any duplicate cards in your deck, your hero power costs nothing.
Yeah, how useful is this after turn 5? I mean,
not really.
Maybe as a 2 or 3 drop, but not on turn 5. I don't think.
Is this effect is permanent?
Yes.
Well, in that instance, I can see this maybe if Control Priest does ever become a thing proper.
And ideally you're combining it with Justicar.
Ideally, or maybe if you're combining it, maybe you're combining it with this is just wishful thinking, but Shadow Form.
True.
But at the same time, that's a clash of interest because you're going to control deck where you're trying to rush your opponent.
I know Kibler had some success with Shadow Form Priest, which could well be put into a Highlander deck. So yeah, I mean it's a niche deck that could.
Yeah, bear in mind Kibler is like an actual good. He's actually good at the game, and we're not.
Excuse me. Yeah, so if it's definitely something that could be thought about in that deck. Outside of that, really, do you really want a Reno Priest? I mean, or a Highlander Priest, sorry, without the Reno effect? Because Priest is struggling for card quality anyway, and the fact you've got to go searching for it because you can't put duplicates in, I'm not sure that's a very good idea.
Yeah. I'll still be excited to see the results of this, but on the other hand, no, I'm struggling to think of it. Obviously, the incredibly late game it gets, the benefits are going to show through because having this and then Justicar that is a 5/6 play. You are set.
But unless the meta is full of control paladins, control warriors, and control priests, I don't think. Yeah, because most of the time you're still going to be coming across the horrible shamans and hunters. So yeah, this needs to be at least 2 or 3 mana less to help save you from those decks.
Yeah, the thing is one of the things with the battle cry is that on turn 5, obviously it's a huge swing. Be able to heal at that and every point afterwards as well. But that battle cry isn't guaranteed on turn 5.
Definitely.
Unless you draw it perfectly, and your deck has absolutely no copies from the very start.
Shaku the Collector. This is a legendary and it has stealth. So whenever this attacks, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class.
We've already seen this effect. This is something which Blizzard's only recently tried to push.
Cool effect.
I love this effect because this is so much better than a burgle or. This is a lot better. This is actually, whenever you think about it, this is definitely a lot better than the burgle because
the thing I really like about this card is it's not whenever you kill a minion; it's whenever you attack, which really puts a less of a constraint. And of course, which is correct because in the RNG that you have when picking a random card from your opponent's class, you could get trash, so you shouldn't be punished by making this card even harder to activate.
A side note about having it be from your opponent's class, I do like that. unlike other cards like Thought Steal or Burgle, where it's from your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
There's a degree of predictability in that.
And from those cards, you're probably going to get better quality because, of course, you wouldn't put trash in your opponent wouldn't put trash in their deck. So
yeah,
it's another good reason why this is attack rather.
On the other hand, though, you can get something which Taunt Warrior.
Yeah.
Where you will get bolster and just that card will be even more trash again.
I think that says a lot about where you're laddering if you're facing Taunt Warrior.
I know, but I'm trying to think about or even something like something which buffs a weapon.
Sure. I think this probably costs 1 mana too much, or it should at least have 1 more attack and 1 more health for the mana cost.
I would be fine because of the stealth thing. I'd be fine with it being a 3 mana 3/3 or a 2 mana 2/2.
I think that's fair. I think if somewhere, because it's in the middle, it's a lot more clunky. So I don't think it will see as much play as we think or we hope, but it'll be certainly interesting to try.
So next up we've got Devolve, which is a 2 mana shaman spell. And you transform all enemy minions into a random minion that costs 1 less. So this is the inverse of the Evolve spell, which is still being used, in heavy minion shaman decks.
The problem I have with this is that in a fast meta way, the most things you're going to see by turn 2 or turn 3 is a 1, 2, and 3 drop. Or even for the most part, especially in your Zulocks and fast Shamans, you're not going to be seeing anything too heavy in mana cost. So reducing that cost by 1, you're still going to have good... Reducing that cost by 1 and changing the minion, you're still going to have good health and attack stats for the mana cost. So the problem is with this, that it's not a board clear, and it still leaves usable minions around.
Exactly, yeah, because as I mentioned earlier in this video, that it is the 1, 2, 3 mana cards which are the strongest for stats, and you're still leaving them quite vulnerable. I mean, the only in that miracle scenario where you get a Doomsayer, and just completely wipe your opponent's board.
Yeah, I mean, even on really high statted minions. So if you're going to if you want to get rid of a Tyrion, for example, and you're reducing it to a 7-drop, it's still a 7-drop.
And you paid 2 mana for that, which sucks, to be honest. You'd rather run a board clear.
So I'm definitely going to play this though, so much.
You're going to actually use it?
Just in stupid decks.
Are you going to pull off the Evolve combo?
I think that the main thing with this is to try and win with this deck with this card in your deck. Not to be competitive, just to win one game.
Just to be like, this card is worth its cost. So moving on, we have Jinyu Water Speaker. It's a 4 mana 3/6. It restores 6 health and it's got 1 overload.
This is really good for if you're looking to sort of get rid of any of your sins that you've previously had in Shaman because you're a bad person. This is perfect for your cleansing if you want to play a control Shaman.
Yeah, but on the other hand though, because it's a 4-cost card, I think that it's going to be quite ignored.
Do you think, even though because the health restoration mechanic in Hearthstone is so rare that especially anything upwards of 3, I think this isn't automatic including Control Shaman just because of that.
In Control Shaman, I could agree, but mid-range Shaman, this is just not going to be used at all.
That's what I mean. The bad people who play mid-range and
you mean
face
what
Shaman.
you mean, like 30% of people who go into tournaments?
Yes, so that they can sort of cleanse themselves and get rid of any sins that they've had, and they can play nice Control Shaman and not annoy anyone.
They can all play Elemental Destruction,
and they can go to Legend a bit slower, but they'll still get there.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So yeah. Kind of speaks for itself. The overload doesn't matter, really, if you're playing control deck.
I still think that it sucks a bit. It's a fair card again, but because of that overload, what are you prohibited from playing at turn 5 on Shaman? Well, not really that much.
You've got some good 4-drops anyway that you can put on turn 5 with the overload.
So this is the most recent card, which this literally got revealed yesterday. This is White Eyes, 5 mana 5/5. It's Taunt. Oh, it's also the class legendary. So when this minion dies, it shuffles the Storm Guardian. Now, when I first saw this card, I think we both did actually. I thought, okay, maybe it shuffles itself back into the deck.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And I thought, this is going to be a bit overpowered because you're just infinitely getting that. Okay, Control Shaman's got its 5-drop now. We talked about, oh yeah, what card can't you play on turn 5 because of the last card? Well, you can't play this on turn 5. But then I wondered what the Storm Guardian was. So tell me what the Storm Guardian is, Zach.
So that is a 5 mana, 10/10 taunt.
Because a 4 mana 7/7 wasn't bad enough as it is. I mean,
it looks sick as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it seems that Blizzard are pushing Control Shaman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this works really well in there. You just got no excuse not to play this, really, in your Control Shaman.
Would you argue that this is the same effect as, say, Elise, where she was a card which pushed the late game into... which pushed Classic.
I struggle to compare them, to be honest with you. How do you compare them?
As in shuffling a significantly better card later into the deck.
But with much less RNG. This is a much more refined Elise. Don't forget it. Unzoth. Could be a thing in Shaman.
The Zoth Shaman. Oh my god. Don't even think about that, because the Zoth is fine enough as it is. I don't think this is going to really make it, but I'll be excited regardless.
I have much more optimism, and I'm hoping that Control Shaman just kicks mid-range Shaman off that tier 1 shelf.
Next up, we've got Vellfire Potion.
Another 5 mana board clear, but for Warlocks, and it kills everything, including heroes.
And including characters, which is heroes. This is a beefed up Hellfire, and I don't really think it's needed.
Yeah, because the Warlock also has a new demon, which has a battle cry of deal 3 damage to all characters as well. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a Warlock deck so heavy that it needs this.
Yeah, because you're already low on health as Warlock as it is, I don't think this is taking another 5 health. I don't think that's going to be a wise choice at all.
But obviously, if you're clearing a lot of low-cost minions, it's clearly worth it, but it's whether... Yeah.
It's whether it's worth justifying that 4 or even 5 damage.
It's also whether we can now have either a demon Warlock or at least some sort of handlock variant that you can put this in. Because I can't really think of another control Warlock that would work at the moment. Yeah,
it's a shame. It's just another one of it's like it's a lazy card to me. Yeah. It's the same. It's almost like Devolve, where that's fair enough. That's a fun card, but this is a lazy card. It's like let's make a card which we already have, but bigger. Just scaled up. And I don't even think the scaling is that good, to be honest.
I'm looking forward to seeing the changes in the meta, especially after the new year, to see if this will fit in there. But at the moment, it's sort of tough to see it in any current deck or any deck that we can see with this expansion.
Next, we have a Sea Devil Stinger. It's a 4 mana 4/2. It's a Murloc. And the next Murloc that you play, it costs health instead of mana. Now, I remember opening up Cho'Gall on day 1 of Old Gods and thinking, yes, I'm going to use this card all the time. And no, I really don't see the use in the health instead of mana tactic.
So you don't see Murloc Warlock as a deck?
Murloc with a K at the end. No, this is trash. This is another trash card to me.
Especially for its health stats, yeah.
Yeah, this is awful.
Interesting that they're still trying to push a seemingly dead mechanic.
It's also
which we've seen a little bit before.
It's nice that they're giving another class card to something which Murlocs sort of belong in, really, you know.
I think we can put this mechanic in the same dustbin as the one where the card on Battlecry improves the stats of the dragon, beast, and other one. Murloc, yeah. So I think we can put that in the same garbage bin as that.
Because the Curator is basically the best thing for that anyway.
So the last card we've got today is a 1 mana warrior spell, which is discover a taunt minion.
Why?
It could still be useful though. Like, imagine getting a Chillmore out of that.
Yeah, but God's sake, stop trying to make Taunt Warrior a thing. It's not going to work anyway.
Yeah, it works fairly well in casual, as I've seen, but I haven't yet to try and ladder yet.
Nah. This is the only warrior card we've really picked up as well.
Can you not see this being a sort of Raven Idol, like a free pick essentially?
See, Raven Idol's got a lot more dexterity anyway, because you're saying either a minion or a spell, whereas this is taunt, and sometimes let's remember, a lot of taunt cards are awful.
But there's also not a lot of them, so you have a good chance of getting the good ones. I can see it being included initially, and depending on what people get from it even in non-Taunt Warrior, I can see it be included initially, and depending on what people get from it will very much depend on whether this card stays in the meta or not.
Discover's already proven itself to be such a good mechanic, although I doubt that the niche of having a taunt is going to make this card see play. But I'm looking at it a very, very cynical way. So it might just be used as a cycle, which is fine enough as it is. It's just the Warrior always tends to hang on to its cards anyway. So I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if this card saw play.
Yeah, it's never a problem just hero powering in Warrior and passing, and so there's not really an excuse to put low cost Discover cards in that class.
Thanks for watching us talk about Hearthstone cards, and we'll also be doing a joint pack opening as well to see whether I am really that lucky, because between we've been playing for 2 years now, I've always had insane luck when it comes to pack opening, particularly on release day.
It's true.
So what was it? It was 5 legendaries out of
with
30.
1 golden, I think.
One of them was gold.
Yeah.
Golden shifter 0. So
I think I got 2 out of 30 with no golden. So yeah, you can see.
So yeah, I've traditionally had better luck, so I'm really looking forward to recording that video.
So we're looking at getting between 30 and 40 each, purely free to play.
Thanks for watching us. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.